Dark clouds rolled over the southern skies of China. The wind howled like a wild beast, tearing through villages, bending trees, and whipping the sea into walls of water. Within hours, peaceful coastal towns turned into chaos. Streets vanished under the rising tide, and entire neighborhoods disappeared beneath roaring waves. Never before in modern Chinese history had the nation witnessed such destructive power from a single storm. Meteorologists would later call it the most violent typhoon in living memory. But for those who lived through it, they would simply call it the day the sky collapsed. As the storm's eye approached the coastline, waves higher than buses slammed into the shore, power lines snapped, windows shattered, the entire horizon glowed white with lightning. Residents in Fujian and Guangdong were trapped, helpless, surrounded by water and screaming winds. From above, satellites captured a swirling monster, the size of an entire country. Its spiral arms stretched across the South China Sea, devouring everything in its path. And as the world watched in disbelief, China braced itself for the unimaginable. What kind of storm could bring an entire nation to its knees? This is the story of the most devastating storm in Chinese history, and the terrifying scenes that followed.
门头沟区中王时代广场发洪水了。
It began innocently, a cluster of dark clouds forming far over the western Pacific. But as the winds gathered strength, meteorologists realized this was no ordinary tropical storm. Within just 48 hours, it had evolved into a super typhoon, codenamed Longwang, the Dragon King. At its peak, the storm recorded wind speeds exceeding 230 km per hour and gusts reaching Category 5 strength. Pressure dropped to 890 millibars, one of the lowest ever recorded in the region. The China Meteorological Administration issued its highest-level red alert, warning that a once-in-a-century event was imminent. Fishermen were ordered to return to port. Airports were shut down. Trains and buses were halted. Over 1 million residents in low-lying areas of Fujian, Guangdong, and Hainan were told to evacuate. Even before landfall, the sea began to rebel. Waves up to 10 meters high battered coastal defenses. Massive tankers drifted loose from their anchors. In one chilling radio transmission, a cargo ship captain shouted, "We've lost control, the waves are higher than the deck." Meteorologists compared its energy output to the force of 10,000 nuclear bombs detonating every second. Yet, even as the warnings blared across state television, many villages were caught unprepared. At dawn, the typhoon made landfall on China's southeastern coast, and nature unleashed its fury. The first winds struck like hammers. Entire rooftops were ripped away as if made of paper. In Fujian province, rain fell so heavily that within 2 hours, streets had turned into rivers. Cars floated down highways. Trees were torn from their roots. In Guangdong, the storm surge smashed seawalls, flooding entire neighborhoods within minutes. Electric poles collapsed, plunging millions into darkness. Hospitals struggled as backup generators failed. Across Hainan Island, communication lines were severed. Families trapped on rooftops waved flashlights through the night, hoping rescue teams would see them. "We heard nothing but wind," one survivor said. The world disappeared into water. Drone footage later revealed a landscape of total destruction. Bridges snapped in half, highways buried under mudslides, and rivers overflowing like unleashed dragons. The storm's path was merciless. From the coast inland, it tore through 6 provinces, leaving more than 2 million people affected. Thousands of homes were flattened. Entire crops were destroyed. Initial damage was estimated at $3 billion, though the true cost was much higher. Video clips flooded social media, cars being swallowed by floods, buses overturned by wind, and families clinging to rooftops as rescuers struggled against the current. Inside one flooded district, a soldier carried a child on his back through waist-deep water. In another, an elderly man refused to leave his home, saying quietly, "I've lived through wars, but never a storm like this." Even China's massive dams trembled under the relentless rainfall. Hydrologists warned that several smaller reservoirs were on the verge of collapse. Emergency sirens blared across cities, urging residents to move to higher ground. By nightfall, the once bustling southern coast had turned into a watery wasteland. When dawn finally came, the world that emerged was unrecognizable. Streets were buried under mud. Power lines lay tangled like webs. Broken glass glittered in the morning light, reflecting the scale of destruction. Helicopters circled above, searching for survivors. Many villages were completely cut off, accessible only by air or boat. Rescue teams used rubber rafts to reach stranded families. Soldiers built makeshift bridges from fallen trees. One photo went viral across Chinese media. A grandmother kneeling in front of the ruins of her house, holding a muddy family portrait, her tears mixed with rain. "Everything I had is gone," she whispered. In the city of Zhangzhou, the riverbanks collapsed, swallowing entire streets. In rural Fujian, schools and hospitals were destroyed. Children searched through debris for their toys. Experts warned that secondary disasters, like landslides and dam breaches, were now imminent. Entire mountainsides began to crumble due to oversaturated soil. And in the aftermath, questions began to rise. Why had China's modern infrastructure failed so catastrophically? Were the country's giant dams, once symbols of national pride, now vulnerabilities under the strain of extreme weather? Environmental experts blamed climate change and rapid urbanization for amplifying the disaster. Cities built on reclaimed land had no natural drainage. Deforestation in upstream areas made floods worse. One Chinese climatologist stated, "We have built cities faster than we've built safety. This is the price we pay for ignoring nature." The country's southern coast, once the economic powerhouse of China, had turned into a scene of grief and silence. Despite the destruction, acts of courage began to emerge everywhere. The government deployed over 100,000 soldiers and emergency workers. Amphibious vehicles roamed the flooded streets, ferrying people to safety. Temporary shelters were established in schools, stadiums, and factories. Food, blankets, and water were airlifted to isolated areas. Across China, citizens began donating money and supplies. Social media became a lifeline. People shared real-time locations, SOS messages, and drone videos showing where help was most needed. International support arrived swiftly. Japan, South Korea, and the United Nations sent aid and condolences. Chinese rescue dogs were seen sniffing through rubble. Amid the chaos, stories of bravery surfaced. A firefighter who swam through floodwaters to save a trapped mother and child. A group of students who sang the national anthem in the pouring rain to keep spirits alive. A stray dog who led rescuers to an elderly couple stuck in their home. These moments of light pierced through the darkness, symbols of the strength and resilience of ordinary people. As the waters slowly receded, the silence was deafening. The wind had stopped, the skies were clear again, but the scars remained, on the land and in the hearts of millions. China's most powerful storm in history had come and gone, but it left behind lessons too painful to ignore. Nature does not rage without reason, a survivor said. It reminds us, we are small. In the face of such overwhelming power, humanity stands humbled. Skyscrapers, highways, and walls of concrete mean nothing when the earth decides to move. Yet even in ruin, there is hope. In every rescuer's hand extended, in every family rebuilding their home, there is a quiet defiance, a refusal to surrender. After every storm, the narrator closes, there comes the sun. And as long as the people stand together, China will rise again, from the water, from the wind, from the ashes of despair. The camera pans slowly over the devastated coastline, the first rays of dawn glinting off the debris, a final image of light returning after darkness.
了non-stop 啊！
门头沟区中昂时代广场发洪水了。
non-stop 啊！non-stop 啊！门头沟区中昂时代广场发洪水了。
将带你了解更多地球发生的自然灾害现象。
门头沟区中昂时代广场发洪水了。门头沟区中昂时代广场发洪水了。non-stop 啊！
我要来就是等于我家。
门头沟区中昂时代广场发洪水了。
Que isso, cara?
Non-stop आज
门头沟区中昂时代广场发洪水了。门头沟区中昂时代广场发洪水了。
We're scheduled to do the